talk a little bit about what are soft skills. Soft skills are those interpersonal skills, thought of as emotional intelligence, which really means you know your emotions, you know how to manage them, you know you can motivate yourself, you recognize the emotions of others, how to manage their emotions, and managing all of those relationships, keeping everybody on a nice even keel. In the workplace, they kind of come out as they call it people skills, usually a good communicator, someone who has good soft skills, typically a good communicator. They have good interpersonal relationships as they meet people. They have a trust from their coworkers, they can motivate, they're team players, and they have a lot of empathy for the people that they work with. So they can take it a step beyond just the work and understand where a person might be coming from. Typically, everyone, the standard train of thought up to now has been that all happens when you're face-to-face. In a virtual environment, can't happen face-to-face. So why are they important? Well, as a leader, your success depends on your team's success. So if you're going to be successful, your team needs to be successful, and you want your team to be successful. There's a survey by the Center for Creative Leadership that successful leaders communicate honestly and proactively. They're good listeners and are sensitive to employees' needs, and they provide rationale for decisions. That's a big thing for employees. They don't want to just be told, they want to understand the why behind it. Rutgers University did a research study that said that leaders with soft skills 12 times more productive than a leader at the bottom of the pack, and that they're 85% more productive than those middle-of-the-road type of people with their soft skills. So having good soft skills can really bring more efficiencies and more productivity to the workplace. So what is a virtual team? This is up here just so that we all have kind of the same understanding of what we're talking about today. Members are separated by time, space, cultures, and they're primarily communicating through electronic means. Your team may be partially co-located, partially virtual. Sometimes you'll hear me say remote. And then again, I just put a reminder of what is a team, teams, complementary skills, common goals, etc. Virtual teams are becoming more prevalent, reducing costs to staff, trying to find the best of the best. They may not always be where you're located. Moving quickly in the marketplace, they want to be able to move quicker, not have to worry about traveling. Address customer issues quickly is another reason. From day one of the keynotes was talked about the guy from Churchill Downs, basically talking about all the different companies they had all over the nation. So they're virtual, because if they want to communicate between their groups, they're all over the place. So they have, as companies acquire other companies, a lot of times you end up with virtual teams. They find that teams that fail, it's directly related to the inability of the team to build that trust and positive relationships that teams need. And that typically in a virtual team is because of geographical distances, time zones, or cultural differences. So virtual teams that fail can't overcome these obstacles. There are some advantages to having virtual teams or remote employees. Members can sometimes are more focused on tasks. There's less distractions, not so much chitter-chatter and non-work-related conversations. Maybe less office politics around the team members because they're not all competing for some sort of a resource at work. For remote employees such as myself, the flex scheduling is wonderful. I have a better work-life balance. I do find sometimes, though, that I work more hours by working at home because I don't have the commute. So it actually works better for my company because I actually commute an hour and a half to work. So that's 3 hours a day that I typically will stay online longer rather than commuting. And there's some thought that you might be better organized if you're used to working in that moving around kind of virtual environment. I've always been that person who you come in and my desk is covered with piles of paper, but I always knew which pile my papers were in. So it was about random filing, and I could say, oh yeah, it's right here. I can't do that anymore because I'm moving. I'm in my office some days, I'm at home some days, I may be working from who knows where a third day. So I have to be a little bit better organized and not maybe print so much. I'm probably better for the trees now. I have to keep anything I can carry in my briefcase and potentially sometimes another bag. Sometimes you might see me with two. But I do have to be better organized because I can't have those piles. I can't traipse those along with me wherever I go. So I have gotten a little bit better at my organization. So what are some of the challenges that we face? There was a survey done by a company called RW3 Culture Wizard, and these are the general hurdles of virtual teams in general, or time zones, language, customs, and technology. Okay? From a team perspective, they said that the team issues were managing conflict, making decisions, expressing opinions, the quality of output coming out from the team, and the generation of innovative ideas. And from a personal perspective, the respondents talked about the lack of nonverbal cues when working with their coworkers, that absence of those interpersonal relationships, you know, the fact that you aren't getting buddy-buddy with the guy next cue because you don't really have that face-to-face contact. Establishing that rapport and trust with your coworkers, not having a big picture, reliance on phone and email, because both can be ignored by somebody on the other end, and a feeling of isolation. So, anybody here have any other challenges that they feel that they face in their every day?
It's not one of my challenges I have, but on the virtual team, it's a challenge to determine. I know your work ethic is very strong, obviously, you're really extra hours. But I won't say that's always the case. How do you get past that challenge? How do you know that things are getting done that need to be getting done from a virtual standpoint?
As a virtual team leader, and I think we'll talk about it a little bit later, but as a virtual team leader, I really look at results. Is my team, are my project managers making progress on the tasks that I know they have to get done? Or is it taking them an extraordinarily long time, for example, to produce that project plan that, in my mind, should have taken them about a day? And so I actually have one worker that I do have that issue with. I'm not quite sure. She seems to put in a lot of hours, but she's also new. So I just meet with her more often, ask her what she's been working on, was she having challenges that I can help her with, to see is she just putting in time or is she struggling on something, because it could be one of either. But it's really about focusing on the results, not just the time. Because you'll have some people, I mean, and this is true in the office, you'll have somebody who can be there, they may work 2 hours a day, but they're putting out more than that person that's sitting there working 10 hours a day. Just because. So we focus more on results than we do time. But I have some other, I talk a little bit about how to make sure that they're available, because that's the other part. They have to be available to you during the work hours, unless they're going to tell you there's a reason they're not going to be available. So these are just what I found to be the top things to think about when meeting the challenges. The number one thing in a virtual team environment is effective communications. Everything comes, in my mind, from effective communications. Good communications will help build that two-way trust. Without the communications, there's nothing to build the trust upon because you don't have that face-to-face. And the engagement of team members is really important because you don't want them having those feelings of being isolated. They have to feel like they're part of a group. Most people don't work well in isolation. Some people do. I mean, some days I just want everybody to leave me alone so I get something done. That's what I like sometimes, but I know a lot of people don't deal with that well. And then overreaching all of this is the technology that we use to accomplish all of this. So to me, everything is surrounded by that whole technology bubble that we have to deal with. Some days it goes better than others. So we'll talk about effective communications first, because effective communications, in my mind, is the beginning, and everything else comes out of it.